And I will say it 1,000 more times, when you hire a Lannister to run your damn hospital, this is what you get. And if nothing else, Patrick ends the debate about do not resuscitates in my mind. The next time we're in a hospital, I'm just going to start keeping cloaks just to be safe. But yes, Sharni will be along directly. Apparently the stress was too much, and she will be back directly.
She's tearing her agent a new one.
Really? She's tearing her agent a new one. But in the meantime, we have director Mark Hartley, we have writer Jesse King, and of course, Mr. Antony I, Ginnane, fucking royalty of this show.
Everybody, thank you for coming. It's wonderful to be here in the Alamo. I didn't have the pleasure, as Mark did, of experiencing the prior incarnation of this event in the old Alamo, but believe me, this place is great, and thank you for being such a fantastic audience. You're exactly what I expected. The reaction is stellar. We're all tremendously excited to hear what you've all got to say.
Yeah, I'm just going to open up this to you guys immediately, so if anybody has questions, go ahead and just throw a hand up. Yes, right there.
How do you get from making a documentary about exploitation films to remaking one of the films that you discussed?
You find a producer who basically is relentless in his pursuit of finance of the film, and that was Tony. Tony was burdened by a first-time narrative filmmaker, first-time narrative feature filmmaker like myself. Justin was a first-time writer. I told Tony I wanted to use my music video cinematographer, who was a first-time feature film cinematographer, and Tony still managed to, knock on every door possible to get it made.
There's nothing like first-time directors, first-time cinematographers, first-time writers. I've worked with a lot of them, and there's, the right ones are so enthused, so enamored of the work, so committed. No, desperate to be great, and great they are. Mark and Justin are a tremendous duo, a dynamic duo, the kings of Australian exploitation, and I'm so proud to work with them.
It's kind of a bit of a misconception that I'm a documentary filmmaker as well. I kind of just made 2 documentaries by accident, really. Prior to that, I made lots of music videos, and my dream always was to make narrative features, and the path to making them was a little bit more different than I thought it would be ultimately. But it was every day on this set was a great joy and a blessing, and I hope we all get to do it again.
Well, that segues on to fair game, but that's for a couple of years from now.
Yes, right here.
Yes, so what was it like trying to find an actor to play Patrick?
I felt sorry for the actors who their agent rang up and said, the film's called Patrick, your role is Patrick. And they would get sent the script and just go page after page after a single line of dialogue. Look, when Jackson walked in, I thought he was right. We wanted someone, if you've seen the original Patrick is a lot more freaky looking. And I couldn't quite get my head around how Kathy has the attraction to him in the original. Here we wanted someone that, I kept on saying to the casting agent, and this reference made absolutely no sense to her, I said I want him to be like John Philip Law and Barbarella. I want him to be so angelic and almost like a wax effigy of a real person, but have something. But Jackson walked in and I thought, well, he's got that, but he also had something a little bit crazy behind the eyes, which was good. And he scared the shit out of Sharni too, because every so often he'd be lying totally still and just launch at her. And
that was funny. Which it was for the first 50 times, yeah. But no, it was quite good because all he had to really do was just don't blink, do not blink, yeah. So and a lot of those scenes where we're getting quite close, he would definitely do that, and it would scare them.
Well, it's interesting. The first 2 days we shot, Sharni wasn't in town for the first 2 days, so we had to find something else to shoot. We shot all the flashbacks first, and that was pretty fucking scary. First 2 days on set for us, because he really was drowning that poor woman. Like she had to give the thumbs up when she was fine to come up, and it was the scariest 2 days of my life because it was so violent on set. Poor Simone Buchanan. Simone Buchanan, who plays the mother in this film, was a child star in Australia, appeared in lots of TV movies when she was like 11 and 12, and then has been grown up on television through lots of sitcoms. So it's very strange for Australian audiences to see her in that role, and it'll be a little bit disconcerting to people who grew up with her as the lovable...
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I grew up with her like that.
But you know, there's another funny thing, another funny story to tell between the 1978 original and this picture. Robert Thompson, who played Patrick in the original, you know, people ask, well, what was some of the differences in narrative or in the story itself of the film between the original and this one? What we were able to do in the original were things that we couldn't do today. Jackson had to get by with it on, essentially on performance and on skill. With Robert Thompson, Richard and I were sort of wild enough to sort of drop anesthetic into Robert Thompson's eyes to assist him in the original picture. So, you know, you can't do that today.
Yes, back there.
Sharni, how did you deal with the challenges of acting alongside somebody who didn't speak for most of the movie? Challenging.
Good one. You know, it's like the Sharni show. It was like the Sharni show. It was like coming into set and talking to yourself and then going home, and I was like, oh, you know, I've got to practice my lines, and you know, usually you have to have a reader to practice with, but I just needed nothing. Yeah, it was really good. It was like, okay, I've got to practice my lines. Okay, Patrick, can you hear me? Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you good? Okay, good. Kind of like Sharni show. It was great.
I should point out there wasn't a lot of time. This film was shot in 25 days. We had Rachel and Charles for 10 days each. They sort of turned up halfway through the shoot. Sharni turned up 2 days into the shoot. So we really didn't have any time for a read through or anything. So we just kind of threw ourselves into it. And there wasn't much time to really do anything. We were just moving to get it all shot. I mean, we were doing 30 setups a day, and you know, there's no handheld, everything's off tracks and cameras. And thankfully, the actors were great because I said to them early on, this is a film where we haven't got time to let your performance dictate what the camera does. You have to let the camera dictate your performance in a way. So we didn't have a lot of time to block scenes. It was just like, you stand here, you do this, you do your line, we're doing 2 takes and we're moving on. And everyone ran with that, and it was sort of great that they did do that, and there were no kind of tantrums.
Right, exactly.
Another interesting component of that, though, the sort of the speed of the work and the need to get through it. You know, I've done a lot of movies, and on some of them, you debate going in whether you want, if you can, have the writer on set, or whether you don't want to ever see the writer again and you just want to get the damn movie done. But on this particular picture, Justin was on set almost every day.
I pulled the short straw and I was there.
He was there. Well, I know it was a short straw, but that certainly, and I think, you know, Sharni will speak to this, that certainly helped significantly, the fact that there was, you know, 0 rehearsal time and not a lot of opportunity. You know, Justin would be all over the place. He'd be round the corner or on one of the other sets or something, and Sharni or Charles or what have you would be out, or Rachel would be over there having a natter, and goodness gracious, it worked out.
Yeah, it's true. I remember a few phone calls we made to you, right? It was, get Justin on the phone, get Justin on the phone. It's like, what are we doing, what are we doing, what are we saying? Can we rewrite this script over the phone because we're shooting it in 5 minutes?
It was pretty surreal working with Charles and Rachel. You know, she's an Academy Award nominee. He's a Royal Shakespeare Company veteran, and I'm a well-meaning semi-pro. And they were both extraordinarily giving, and they would take me into their dressing rooms for perfectly decent purposes and discuss the script with me. And at first I thought they were just patronising me, but then I worked out that they vaguely respected me and valued my opinion, and vice versa. And Charles Dance especially has just got a fantastic ear for dialogue, and he just every now and again would say, I'm going to hit this line Here I'm going to move this line from the start to the end because I think it rises better, and every single time he was absolutely right. I mean, he is a man who has written and directed a film himself, Ladies in Lavender, so he really knows his stuff, but it's watching what you have written actually being shot is both an incredibly edifying and humbling experience all at once. And as Sharni can attest, the day I had to leave set, I was blubbing like a baby.
Oh, he was. It was really sweet, though. Cried. Happened. It was really cute.
Nobody likes to see a movie end, and you know, I guess you know, some people are smiling when it's over, and some people are crying when it's over.
Any other questions out there?
Justin, was it difficult for you to rewrite a cult classic, and how did you approach it from a fresh standpoint?
Well,
what were some of the challenges?
Mark and I had extensive discussions about what we wanted to keep and what we wanted to change. We knew that we wanted to keep the original basic premise of a young nurse coming into a clinic with a enigmatic patient and she also had some love life troubles. But we were definite in wanting to make the last act much more of a siege. For those who've seen the original, it doesn't really have that sort of rising crescendo that we were after. And the other thing that we wanted to do was we wanted to go back to the original and then sort of go back even further than the original went in terms of its look and feel. And Mark was very early on. Mark and I were wanting to give it that very gothic edge that it's certainly not something you see in Australian films, that's for sure, and it's not something you see in many other films. So we wanted to be respectful to the original, but we also wanted to make it our own film. And as Mark has said, while we were doing it, we were feeling this is our own film. This isn't a slavish remake.
It's not Rebecca. Sorry, excuse me. It's more Rebecca than Dr. Mabuse, I guess, is the way to describe it.
Yep.
Sharni, how did you like going from You're Next to a sort of more traditional Scream Queen type role?
Well, it was weird because I didn't really feel like I went from You're Next to this, even though this was my follow-up film and is my follow-up film to You're Next, because we shot You're Next 2.5 years ago, and we shot this in December last year. So this is really fresh for me, whereas You're Next feels quite ancient. It feels like, it was like, I was 27 when we shot it. I'm 30 now, so it's like really a long time ago.
Not too long.
I just fucked myself with my age, didn't I? I'm 30, everyone! It happened. No secrets here. But it was really, it was my next film to You're Next. So, to be honest, I was just dying to get in front of the camera again. And I'm so grateful that these guys gave me the opportunity to do that, because if it wasn't for this film, I actually still would not have worked since You're Next. So I'm so glad this happened. It would be terrible, yes.
And for those who are wondering, in the bathroom scene when Sharni gets thrown back, that is the Sharni Vinson actually doing the stunt herself. And watching it, seeing three incredibly heavy stunties pull her back. She was parallel to the ground within about a 30th of a millisecond.
It was awesome.
It was amazing to see.
Yes.
She just gets up and goes, there can be only one!
Yeah, and then I was like, you need 3 guys to pull me back? Jeez, how strong are you guys? Come on.
I'm not sure Sharni will want me telling this story, but I'll tell it anyway. Fuck it.
I'm walking out.
There was a brief chance there that this film wouldn't happen. And I'll go back. Basically, Sharni was in You're Next. You're Next was a huge hit at Toronto. And we were...
In 2011.
And we were seriously told to consider casting Sharni for Patrick. Well, we were told to cast her, basically. And so we hadn't been able to see You're Next at all. And so I had a leading lady. and I watched Blue Crush 2, and I watched Step Up 3D. And I went, I really still don't know if she can do genre, and I tried desperately to see You're Next. I contacted the...
Wait a minute, you didn't know after Step Up 3D that I could do a horror movie?
Anyway,
How'd you miss it?
there was no way that we could see You're Next. And we went and saw Bait 3D. And, you know, which I have to say, Sharni, you don't have a lot to do in
Which
Bait
went
3D.
#1 in China and made 50 million. Just
So-
saying, Mark Hartley, just saying.
So the DOP, the writer and myself,
Either you or the shark, yeah.
we still don't know whether Sharni can do genre. So Sharni arrives in town, we go out for a meal, with you.
And you were an asshole and I almost pulled out of the picture.
And basically